From LALATE News Headquarters in Santa Monica, this is Mornings LALATE.
It's a big Monday morning on Mornings LALATE with incredible great details about your fourth stimulus check update of 2021 today. We'll be going over that monthly stimulus check and why there may actually be more months of checks today. Then we turn to fourth stimulus recon, where your checks are, and why there may actually be more money in there for you than initially thought. OMG. And then we turn to the voting process and why it's important to know how they do it right, not when they do the vote. It's important to understand that they have it all set up and what they're going to be doing today. I have all the breaking news as well. Then we turn to fifth stimulus, which heats up this fall with another stimulus check for next year and raising your benefits up a lifetime and the thousands of dollars, $22,000 in the case of one viewer, that viewers are getting across the board. It's your day to get that money as well. It's a big day. It's a big morning. The toast is toasting. The butter is buttering. I'm here. You're here. And this is Mornings LALATE. Weekend, and hope you had a beautiful Sunday as well. Here we are, Monday morning. I'm excited for you to join me. How's the weather where you are? Jump in the live chat right now and tell me how the weather is where you are and where you're watching from. It's currently, the sun is slowly coming up here in Santa Monica, California, live this Monday morning. It was very dark just 2 minutes ago, so it's a late rising sun, and it's cool and it's beautiful. So I'm excited you're here. In this fourth stimulus check update of 2021 today, we'll be going over the vote, and we'll be going over the process and the money. First, we'll be going over the fourth stimulus check months. Could there be more months of checks? Wow. Then we'll be going over the fourth stimulus recon. Could there be other money in there for you as well? There is. Then we turn to the voting process and how they have this set up now to go smoothly and correctly, not incorrectly and too fast. We'll go over all the details across the board. Then we cut to fifth stimulus with another stimulus check for next year and raise your benefits up a lifetime. And then the big money the viewers continue to get. One viewer getting $22,000, viewers constantly getting $10,000 a day. This is LALATE, America's only 24-hour-a-day, 7 days a week financial news channel in America. Live in the morning and taped in the afternoons. Next up is Mornings Crypto, 9:30 a.m. live on air, direct from Santa Monica. Then at 11 a.m. is Noontime LALATE, live here. Then we go into our afternoon shows. Afternoons LALATE, 3, 5 o'clock is evenings. Then evenings Crypto, overnights Crypto, and Sirloin nightly at 8 o'clock. Subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record. I want you part of this family. Hit that subscribe button right now. 400,000 subscribers. Hit it right now. Become part of this incredible family. Like this video. Every like helps and helps in the algorithm rankings. It also delivers You'll play and consider becoming a member. Let's get into the breaking details, starting with the House bill and the Senate proposal with potential of more months of checks. Wow, where did this come from? So the exciting news starts with the House and the Senate. Let's go over the number of checks. House, pandemic plus 1 year. Senate, July to December. Let's go over the payouts. Monthly, well, House, 1,000 after the first month, 2,000. Senate, unknown, but word on the street is it's this. Wow, deliciousness. $2,000 over 6 months, $12,000. Or $1,400 over 6 months, $8,400. Now, here's the breaking news. A week ago today, we started by saying, well, the pandemic may be considered over for purposes of legislation, so we may only see 12 checks, 12 months of checks from those House members, which would be $13,000. But here's the rub now. Now, LA County, pandemic's not over, says LA County. Warren Buffett says pandemic's not over. Airlines says pandemic's not over. Well, if the pandemic's not over, then the House may actually be paying more months of checks. They may be paying pandemic plus 1 year, which is a lot more than $13,000. Compare that to this and the Senate. I think you have an opinion. Jump in the live chat right now. Right now, jump in there and vote House or Senate. House or Senate, tell me where you're tuning in from. And how's the weather? Yeah, your opinion may be different than it was a week ago. Things are moving quickly, and I always have the breaking news here by the minute of how things are changing. Who gets this fourth stimulus check? Democrats represent everyone who got a third stimulus check gets a fourth. Single individual, 75,000 or less, you get a fourth stimulus check. The Democrats represent. Democrats represent they would give a fourth stimulus check to a married couple, 150,000 or less, and double it. Family of four, Democrats represent they would give a fourth stimulus check, quadruple it. And if you're on benefits, Democrats represent you would get a fourth stimulus check. Next, the fourth stimulus check is not income, so it's not taxable. Fourth stimulus check will be the same amount for everyone across the board. And the fourth stimulus check is a monthly check. It's not a waivable check. So don't try to wave at the check. If you see the check on the freeway rushing to work this morning and try to wave at it, say, "Hey, check, how you doing?" Oh, that check's a little bit wavy in the lanes. It's sort of waving back and forth. It's not a waivable check. It might be a wavy check, but it's not a waivable check. That's the difference. Just cut someone off. A bad driver. Not a rude check either, just a bad driver. The fourth stimulus check would come in the month of July for the month of July, those Democrats represent, and in the month of August for the month of August, those Democrats represent, and they also represent the final vote will be in the month of July. We'll have all those details coming in the second part of this video. In the second part of this video, we'll be going over how the divesting of the fourth stimulus check from the roads and bridges was so critical, and now why are you actually set up to actually get more money? This is incredible. And then the third part of this video, we'll be going over the voting process itself and how it's important to know how it's done, not when it's done. But first, here's a preview of the second half of this video, which is fifth stimulus. And it will have another stimulus check in there. That other stimulus check will not overlap with this one. It will be after in time. I'll explain the details and also the raising up your benefits lifetime. Wow, it's getting exciting, isn't it? But we are getting money because this is Money Monday. Hey, Money Monday, let's get some money. If you're new to this channel, this is what this channel does. This is not a stimulus tracking channel. This is not a date chaser. And this is not a calendar catcher. We don't look at a calendar and say, no, we look at our wallet and say, oh, I want that check. And that's what viewers are doing. I have to congratulate the viewers of this channel. Jump in the live chat right now and post whether you've gotten rent, utilities, SNAP, internet, any money you've gotten posted right now. If you posted before, do it right now. I can congratulate the viewers of this channel. They have really heeded my instructions. Nisi, $22,000. She got 3 items in the last week. John got $12,000 for SNAP in the last week. Viewers are getting $10,000 to $12,000 of rent. I said it's $5,000, approximately 4 to 6 months of rent. I was wrong. It's double that amount of money. I said the utilities is a couple $100. I was wrong. Viewers are getting $3,000 in utilities routinely. The SNAP, they're getting $6,000 to $7,000 routinely. What's going on? This is what we do here. I give people money. And this is sort of like December 2020. When we were waiting for second stimulus to pass, it hadn't yet passed. People needed money. It was the holidays. So I stepped up and I got viewers $250,000 of money, like rent, like Tyrone, his family of 4 out of Boston, $15,000, paid all his bills. Imagine when you get $15,000, you don't care what it's called, so long as it's $15,000. And that's what I want you to do. So get a pen and paper ready. We're going to go over the big money you're going to get right now. I want you to get this money. We're not here tracking a check. We're cashing checks. And get that pen and paper ready. Each place has different eligibility. So if one says no, you can reach out to the next so they say yes. We get rent, utilities, homeowners utilities, and also homeowners mortgage. And let's go over all the details. You're going to reach out to your city hall, your city housing authority. Your county hall, your county housing authority. Your state hall, your state housing authority. The keywords you're going to say are rent assistance because of COVID, or mortgage or utility assistance because of COVID. You don't say words they don't know, like stimulus, or Mitch's wonderful mixtape tour dates. They don't want to know that. They don't know it, and if they do know it, they want to forget it. So there you go. Congratulations to Tim and Linda who got this wonderful money for rent. And yes, I've been saying it's about $5,000, 4 to 6 months of rent. Viewers are getting $10,000 to $12,000. Go get it. Go get it. The next pot of the money is wonderful. It's SNAP. And yes, John got it. $12,000 for his family. But viewers are constantly getting $5,000 to $7,000. Jump in the live chat if you got the SNAP as well and post it right now. How much is it? It's a lot. A family of 4 in Hawaii gets upwards of $16,000 a year. Why so much money? Because of 2 wonderful executive orders, one from Biden, one from Trump, that raise your benefits up and now 15% nationally between now and December. Remember, SNAP is national between now and December, so go get it. And Lynn Glenn got it for herself, her son, and her mom, and Gail got it as well. And Congratulations, you're just killing it. $16,000 for SNAP, $5,000 for rent at least. We're only 10 minutes of this video. You're killing it. I'm killing it. The check, you are killing the speed limit. Slow it down. Well, the next pot of money is wonderful. It's coming back from the states, and it's the refund of the overpayment due to computer error. The federal government has identified states as overpaying you unemployment due to computer error, and then asking the money back. No, it was your money to keep. So the federal government has ordered that money back to you. Where? Direct deposit to the account you have on file. When? Well, reach out to your state. Hey, state, say state. Hey, state. Where's that refund check? Where's that check back due to me due to computer error, that overpayment due to computer error? When am I getting back? And can you track it this time with a computer that actually works? And then finally, your last spot of the money is that refund check back from IRS. If you got this check as well, jump in the live chat and share that with viewers. Margaret got it, Cog got it, Michael got it. Let's go over how much, when, where, and how. Versus how much? Let's say you had $9,000 of total unemployment benefits. You paid $5,000 of taxes, and which $4,000 was your taxes on unemployment benefits. You're getting back $4,000. Where? Direct deposit, otherwise in the mail. When? This month. Can you track it? Yeah. About 70% of the time you can. Go to irs.gov, do a transcript search, and it'll reveal stuff that you never knew. Some stuff that you sort of don't want to know. It'll reveal the tax return you filed, the taxes you paid on that 2020 tax return. It'll reveal who are the backup singers for Mitch's new dance singing career. It'll reveal what is the track list on Mitch's new mixtape. And finally, it'll reveal, does Mitch choreograph himself? And that'll reveal the refund check you're getting. Oh my goodness, can we top that? We can, as we go into the second part of your fourth stimulus check update of 2021, starting right now. Well, here we go. It's so different than no less than 2 Wednesdays ago. But let's go back before those 2 Wednesdays ago. Before those 2 Wednesdays ago, there was something called a recon, a monstrous reconciliation, fourth stimulus recon, that had your stimulus checks in it and had roads and bridges in there, and lots of bridges and roads. And there was such a problem with the fact that the recon was so big at the time that Nancy, Chuck, and the president were meeting daily, unbeknownst to us. That you're going to see later in this video that Jalapa was actually having meetings about this before something was about to happen. She saw a problem with it, and she saw another problem with it. I'm going to go over that in a second. So what did they ultimately decide? 2 Wednesdays ago, Chuck, Nancy, and the president decided the roads and bridges have to come out of the recon to make the recon smaller, to make the recon passable. Honey, I Shrunk the Recon with Rick Moranis. Wonderful movie. Got to run it on DVD. So they decided to shrink the recon by taking roads and bridges out 2 Wednesdays ago, which created a 2-path process. Roads and Bridges in a spin-off series with Don Johnson and that beautiful Barracuda. If you have one, DM me. I want it. No, it's called Bipartisan. Roads and Bridges and Bipartisan, and all your money stayed where it was, which is where it belongs, in Recon. Suddenly we had a 2-path process, and that 2-path process was birthed 2 Wednesdays ago. Recon, your money, and Bipartisan. 4 wonderful things came from this splitting of the process. Number 1, you just heard. Now the recon became passable, meaning had they called the vote in May, it would not have passed. Now I want to make something very clear because I've not made this clear before. You call a vote on something not ready to be voted on and passed. You call for a vote. It doesn't pass. Is there a do-over? No. That's it. You're done. Gone. You wasted your recon and you messed up because you botched it. So you can't call something. There's no mulligan in this. There's no mulligan in politics. You can't do over. So had they called the recon for a vote before they split it from roads and bridges, it would have died. It would not have passed. So now that 2 Wednesdays ago that they split them, it is passable. And it's so emphatically now different that even conservatives are talking about it. In an op-ed in a major conservative publication, the op-ed talks exactly about what I refer to, that now the recon is passable because it was divested of roads and bridges, put into the bipartisan. The higher the top, this is the op-ed, the higher the top line was for the recon, the harder it was to pass, obviously. By allowing the Democrats to take out some of the recon and put in the bipartisan, the overall price tag for the recon got smaller, obviously. In other words, the bipartisan deal made the recon passable. Yeah, it did. Sorry, Mitch. I guess we set you up. They had nothing to gain, the GOP, by blessing the recon, by blessing the bipartisan, because all it did was make the recon passable. By shrinking the recon, by making roads and bridges out of the recon, by taking roads and bridges out of the recon, throwing it down the road, down past the bridge into the next city, into the bipartisan, it made the recon passable. There you go. Benefit number one. Number two, got identity. Got identity because before this, people were thinking that the fourth stimulus recon was just roads and bridges. It's only roads and bridges. It's only bridges and roads. No, there was always a lot of money in there. It was just overshadowed by the roads and bridges. Now that roads and bridges are out of it, people understand there's money in there. But how much money in there? Now, here's something I need to clarify because someone asked a very good question overnight in the comments on the video. Someone said, okay, so you said they shrunk the recon by taking the roads and bridges out. Why are they beefing up the recon? I want to make that very clear. It's a great question. So by taking the roads and bridges out, the recon was shrunk dramatically because roads and bridges are extremely expensive, extremely expensive. The progressive policies that the progressives are adding back in now are not that expensive. I mean, compared to a roads and a bridge, it's just, they're adding stuff in. Yeah, it is growing up a little bit, but it's not like how it was before. So it's totally different levels of big. So the viewers were not asking about my comments. They're asking about this comment, which I'm about to read, which is that now that the roads and bridges are out, the progressives are enlarging the recon, not making it the size it was before, of course. Representative Ilhan Omar, Democrat of Minnesota, progressive, said, we have a commitment that regardless of what happens with the bipartisan, Congress will give us a recon that goes as far as we want it to go. Wow, that is incredible. Yes, the progressives are adding new policies in there. They're adding policies in there that pay you other monies. And they're not really telling you much about it because it's really quite under cloak and dagger. Now, one of them we got wind of, housing. Housing, never heard of this. Yeah, it's going in there. And people have asked me, how does the housing work? Don't know. They're not telling us. That's not what they want to do. Progressive Richard Tories said that I refuse to vote for the bipartisan unless it's linked to a very large recon. Now, understand it's not as large as it was before. And then finally, the progressives have been meeting with the White House daily to discuss how big the new add-ons of progressive policies into the recon. Well, what's the next benefit of this? That the recon is protected by the progressives because the only thing in there is progressive policies. You need to understand this, and this is sort of obvious, but I have to repeat it. The recon is written by Democrats for Democrats to pass. There's no GOP member writing the recon. They don't want the recon. It's a forbidden word. They're not even going to touch it. They're not even going to write it. They're not even going to be in a meeting on it. They're not going to touch it. It's written by Democrats for Democrats to pass by Democrats. And how did we get to the spot? By Jalopal, before the recon and the bipartisan were split, Jalopal had said the president was telling her to protect the progressive policies in the recon. Why? Now you see, because now that the recon is only progressive policies, she was preparing for it pre-split. Brian Schantz says the same thing, that the White House says the progressive priorities in the recon are the White House's own priorities. Yeah, it's just progressive policies. How did we get to this wonderful spot as the sun comes in from the east? Boy, it's coming in strong. So we got it from the president. We got it from Jalopal. Jalopal had written a letter to Schumer saying, call the vote, Chuck. Now, the letter was signed by 12 House Democrats who were among the 100-plus House Democrats who had said, we're going to be putting multiple stimulus checks into the fourth stimulus recon. Wow. Can we top that? Yes. As 7 members of that House Ways and Means Subcommittee, which is responsible for writing the recon, remember, Democrats write the recon, wrote the president a letter saying, we're going to be putting monthly stimulus checks into the recon when we write the fourth stimulus recon. Wow. Who are these people? They are on the House Ways and Means Subcommittee that are responsible solely for writing stimulus checks. That same committee is responsible for writing the recon. They wrote the third stimulus check recon. They say they're writing the fourth stimulus check recon, and they say they're giving you a fifth stimulus check recon next year. Wow. And they also wrote first and second stimulus checks. Oh my goodness. More about them later in this video. Can we top that? We can, as the president went overseas 3 weeks ago to anchor fourth stimulus to the recon to the finish line. by getting an international agreement about corporate taxes. Now, here is a funny sort of nuance to what's going on here. The president originally told the American people, I need to pay for roads and bridges by raising your corporate taxes. Well, now that roads and bridges are no longer in the recon, how is he paying for? What is the recon being paid for? Corporate taxes. Yeah, so things like medicine and checks being paid for by corporate taxes, that's not very digestible, but that's where we are because he was prepared ahead of time. Of course it was. So what did he do? He said, I'm raising corporate taxes, but I'm worried about raising corporate taxes. Business may move overseas. So he reached out to those countries overseas and said, let's get it up. That asked them to raise their minimum corporate tax rate. And then they said tentatively yes. So he reached out to staff and said, staff, can we go meet those countries overseas in December, bring them some of Dr. Jill's wonderful potpourri, and have them sign on the dotted line? And the staff said, Mr. President, we can go meet them in June. Bring them some of that potpourri in June. They're in Europe. They do things differently. They're close to the equator. That's at Yale Geography. They don't teach geography at Yale. So there we go. And so they did go meet them, not in December, but 3 weeks ago, and had them sign on the dotted line to anchor fourth stimulus recon to the edge of the finish line, because now fourth stimulus recon doesn't need a provision about international taxes. It's covered in the international agreement, making it easier to write fourth stimulus recon for those Democrats, easier to pass fourth stimulus recon for those Democrats, and easier to get fourth stimulus over the finish line. Wow, can we top that? We can. As we go into the third and major part of the fourth stimulus update of this video, when we go over the voting process and why Jalapal prepared this before the split of recon from bipartisan. Boy, this has been plotted out, but we're only just learning now. It has been plotted out days and weeks ago. You're going to see all the exciting news coming up after this commercial break, and fifth stimulus, and another stimulus check, and more big money. Oh my goodness. But first, is there something even more wonderful? It is. It's the volunteers. You understand that we are not tracking checks here. We're cashing checks. And I want you to get $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 this week. And if you're having problems finding rent, utilities, internet, you've tried it, you can't find it, don't worry. There's volunteers. How are the volunteers reachable? Open the description of this video. Go down the description. You'll see an emoji of a house. Click on the emoji of a house. It'll send you to the community page, news.la.com/community. It'll show a picture of some kitty cats. They're not the volunteer. They're just kitty cats. Lower on the page are the volunteers. They're separated from Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Reach out to them, and they'll help you find that rent, utilities, internet, and also mortgage assistance. Now, they cannot mow your lawn. They cannot fix your roof. They cannot wash your dishes. But maybe they can choreograph a better scene for Mitch's backup dancers. And here's a little bit about them. I'll be back in 60 seconds for you with this big Mornings LA continues. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE Daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on Mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE. The toast is toasting, the butter is buttering. I'm here, you're here, and this is Mornings LA with incredible details to start your Monday morning. about your fourth stimulus check update of 2021. In the second part of this video, we'll be going over the voting process to understand how it works, when it goes, and how it needs to be done right. Not a date, but done right, and you need to learn the difference. I'll show you what they're doing this week, and it's all really exciting news. Then we cut to fifth stimulus with another stimulus check and the raise of monthly benefits. And with that, subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record. I want you part of this family. Hit that subscribe button right now. I want you part of this family. And don't miss a single video across the board. Like this video. Every like helps the algorithm's ranking. Hit that like button as well. Stay with this channel. Next up is Mornings Crypto at 9:30. A lot of breaking news. I predicted the downturn of the market again of these crypto coins on Sunday, and they certainly did that. That's at 9:30 a.m. live on air right after this video. Then we go into noontime at 11 a.m. Coming up more this afternoon as well. Let's go into fifth stimulus right now. Fifth stimulus heats up this fall. And it starts with a stimulus check. One of the comments I got overnight on one of the videos was someone was asking, does the fourth stimulus check overlap with the fifth stimulus check? No. These fourth stimulus checks and fifth stimulus checks, the recon people represent, they're writing them, and they're writing them in the same context. So they know if something overlaps or doesn't overlap. The concept is obviously not to overlap. The fifth stimulus is for next year, but the voting process of it has to start months ahead of time. Remember, it takes months to get a recon done. And so fifth stimulus will start to draft in September, out the door in about November, December. Number two, the president dedicated $1 billion to Social Security Administration to ensure your checks come on time going forward. This is fourth, this is fifth, and this is monthly checks. Next, if you have not gotten a first, a second, or third stimulus check, you need to do two things. One, file a tax return, and two, request that missing stimulus check. If you haven't done both things, please do them. Third, let's go into the exciting details of raising up your benefits under fifth stimulus. There was a lot of breaking news on Friday. Clearly, the markets are closed today, so there's no new economic data. But what did we have as of Friday? We had as of Friday that the new job creations number way up. Big beat Wall Street estimates suggest that inflation's coming. Number two, we had the lumber number drop on Wednesday. Lowest drop of lumber on recorded history in 1 month, dropped 40%. That's signaling inflation's going up as new home sales are surging. Producer price index, CPI, also going up. And Jay Powell, your head of the Federal Reserve, said that inflation is going to hit its highest price point in December, right when they apply your benefits. Can it get any better than that? It can't. Let's go over how this works right now. First, they raise your benefits up under fifth stimulus with SSI and SSDI and VA reform. They add a new inflationary benchmark. They remove the asset limit. They remove the income exclusion. They remove the marriage penalty. Let's go over how this works, starting right now. First, they'll raise your benefits up one big time under fifth stimulus. Who's you? You. If you're on SSI, SSDI, Social Security, railroad benefits, veterans benefits, SSA, multiple benefits, your benefits will be raised up one big time. Then they'll apply a benchmark. You understand the benchmark is for next year's benefits. You understand it's applied every December for the next year. You understand the new benchmark would be inflation, and you also understand inflation's going up. You've also learned from this channel that Jay Powell says that the inflation number will be the highest price point in December when they apply your benchmark. This is huge. This is wonderful. So how high will the number be? We have to wait to see that in the fall, but we're getting more and more economic data daily. Currently, Wall Street is still thinking about 10% approximately. So let's say it's 10%. That means that your benefits will raise up, and then they'll apply the benchmark at 10%, and your benefits will step up 10%, not just next year, lifetime. Because once your benefits step up, they never step down. Wow. And then if inflation next year is 2%, then your benefits will be plus 2 plus 10%. It's incredible news. Next, they're going to remove the asset cap dating back to a 1980s law that says you can't have more than $3,000 in hand. And now you'll be able to have some stimulus checks in your hand and some Crayola crowns. They're going to remove the income cap dating back to a 1960s law that says you can't work and stay on benefits. And finally, they're going to end the marriage penalty. Love is going to win, and you'll be able to marry your longtime love interest. No longer suffer loss of benefits or fear the marriage penalty. Viewers like Rob and Sandy will be able to get married and no longer fear the marriage penalty. Viewers have asked me in some of the questions lately, is it retro? It is not retroactive. So there you go. That is fifth stimulus. Very exciting details. Now, if you're in the live chat and you see people posting that they got rent for this or utilities for this, and you have not gotten it, and you want that $5,000, $10,000, $12,000, $20,000, $23,000 of money, but if trying to find it can't find it, then what's at issue? Maybe you have to also become a member. Link to become a member is in the top of the chat and pinned comments. Members are delivered daily a breakdown of all the big money that's in third stimulus, all the big money that's in fourth stimulus, and all the big money that's in fifth stimulus. It's important that you get this money, and you get it first come, first serve, and you do it correctly. By becoming a member, I deliver daily the big money that's available for you across the board. It's important to get that money as quickly as you can. During the commercial break, one viewer, Kim, wrote a comment that said, what about the children's checks in July? What about them? How are they coming? Now, this is why it's very important to always be a member, because I went over in May a lot of tough love moments where you have to do this to get certain monies. I'm not going to be going over the children's checks too much. That's third stimulus. And either you did what you had to do to get the checks and set it up right, or you didn't. And if you didn't, it's too late now. So I'm not going to go over too much about children's checks going forward. That's third stimulus. But let's cut back now to fourth stimulus. And fourth stimulus is getting very, very exciting. Here's what you need to know is that it's important to understand there is no mulligan in politics. There's no mulligans in recon. You have one time to vote, and if you call it and it doesn't work, you can't do a do-over. If it doesn't pass, you can't do a do-over. Here's what you need to know. Up to 2 Wednesdays ago, the recon was not passable because it was too big, because it had roads and bridges. So had they called a vote at that time, you may have thought that that was a good thing because they're doing it quickly and early on. And then it would have died and no one would have gotten any money. Can't do things wrong in politics, because you do it wrong, it doesn't work. Number two, now that the bipartisan and the recon are separated from each other, then the next thing is how they call the vote. Now, Kim also in the commercial break dropped a comment that said, I thought July 4th was a deadline. Here, what's important for you to know is that Leader Schumer and Nancy Pelosi said 1,000 times that the recon vote would be called by July 4th. But they said that when the recon they thought was passable. When they realized the recon was not passable because it had roads and bridges in there, they could not call for a vote. That was number one. Number two, now that the recon became passable 2 Wednesdays ago, what was the next issue? How they call the vote. Now, here's what's very important. Jalapal, who you know wants to give you lots of money, understood how they call the vote as such a big issue, and you're going to hear this for the first time on Mornings LA, that she polled her Democratic caucus, unbeknownst to us, about how to call the vote before the recon and the bipartisan were even split 2 Wednesdays ago. Yes, this is what Jalapal said. We did a poll of our members, and the overwhelming majority of our caucus said they're not going to vote on the bipartisan without the recon going for a vote first. So they understood this was a big issue before even 2 Wednesdays ago when the recon and the bipartisan were split. It's important to understand that there's an issue, and the issue is how they call the vote. Here's what you need to know. If they call the recon for a vote after the bipartisan, it dies. It dies. It's done. No one gets any money. We all go home. We're done. It's over. Can't do it the wrong way. Can't do it the wrong way. And who wants it done the wrong way? The GOP. GOP keeps on saying, call the bipartisan for a vote first, and then you can do your recon any day of the week. You're fine. Take care of it. No, the recon will die if it goes for a vote after the bipartisan. There's only 2 ways to call the vote on the recon. Before the bipartisan or concurrently with the bipartisan, which brings us to Pelosi, who made that emphatic statement right after they split the 2 items and made it very clear she ain't going to do it the wrong way. There ain't going to be a bipartisan unless we have a recon vote first. And as I said, there won't be a bipartisan vote unless we have a recon bill vote. Plain and simple. In fact, I use the word ain't. There ain't going to be a bipartisan bill vote unless we have a recon bill passed by the United States Senate. Wow, there we go. That is important news. Now, what are they doing this week? The members are in their subcommittee meetings this week. There's the Congress, and then there's the rooms that they have in the Congress. And in those, besides their offices, they have conference rooms. And those subcommittees are meeting all this week before the 4th of July weekend. The House Ways and Means Committee, yeah, that same committee that you heard earlier in this video, who's writing the fourth stimulus recon, issued a statement saying, we're meeting in subcommittee meetings all this week. Also, House Budget Committee said that as well. What are they doing? They're making it very clear to the American people that they're trying to get this recon finished ASAP. Great news there. Number 2, in session, not in session. The word in session refers to the House floor and the Senate floor. In the big building in Congress, there's 2 rooms, the House floor and the Senate floor. That's where they vote. When they're not in session, it means not in session. When they're in session, it means they're in session. Here's what you need to know, is that if someone says they're not in session, it means the doors are closed. It does not mean they're in another continent or another hemisphere, which is what conservative media said in July of 2020. If they're not in session, they're down the hall. And in this case, they're not even just down the hall. They're in their subcommittees working this week. To put something back into session, to open the doors and go in and vote, takes only one of 3 events. Leader Schumer doing it, calling the vote, Nancy Pelosi calling the vote, or the president calling the vote. And guess what? The members are not 500 miles away or 20 time zones away. They're down the hall. They can call the vote by lunchtime. Come on in, let's all vote. It's as simple as that. Finally, what's important to note is that this channel is not a check tracker channel. We're not tracking checks. We're not chasing dates. And we are not calendar catchers. So we're not sitting back and saying this date, that date, this date, that date, because it's more important to understand that if they call the vote the wrong way, you get nothing. You get nothing. And yeah, they did make representations they would get it done by July 4th, but things are going on. And the GOP's trying to block them and trying to do certain things. So they got to do it the right way. And for Jalapal to call this poll before the bipartisan is even divested from the recon, it shows the severity of ensuring you do the vote right. Finally, Purple Power. We haven't talked about Purple Power in a couple days, and you gotta step up, folks. Gotta step up. Hashtag MSC, hashtag Purple Power. Go on social media. Tag your elected officials. Tag your senators, your House members, your Democratic House Ways and Means members, your Progressive Caucus, Jalapal, and the caucus leader and the sub leaders. But also do what WR did. WR 2 Fridays ago picked up the phone and called his senator, Senator Coons. And what WR did was exactly what I said. Express to your senator, who's a Democrat, don't call up a GOP senator, call up a Democrat senator, and express to them why you need monthly stimulus checks. Prepare your comments ahead of time in your mind. I need monthly stimulus checks because this is what's happened to my community. This is what happened to my family. This is what happened to my business. This is what happened to my city. Prepare your comments ahead of time to express professionally and respectfully to a staffer why you need multiple stimulus checks. That's what he did. Spoke to the secretary, and the secretary said Senator Coons is already working on drafting multiple stimulus check language for the Senate. Now, do not categorically, emphatically, do not call them up and say, where is my check? Or am I getting a check? Or when am I getting a check? You don't do that with me. You're certainly not going to do that with senators. The purpose of calling up the senators is to tell them why you need it. Express your opinion. They want to hear from you. And if they hear from 100 of you in a day in which this channel is doing 1 million views, that's big power. That's a big push. That is a big push. You need to make that push. And boy, it's getting very exciting. And to recap, 4 stimulus recon now may give more stimulus checks as the pandemic's continuing. Second, the 4 stimulus recon may give you a lot of other items. As viewers are jumping in the chat during the commercial break, what is the thing about housing? I'd love to know what the thing about housing is. There's a lot of stuff in the recon. They're not going to be telling us these details as they go along. It'll just sort of appear at one point. Third, we now understand that how they call a vote is emphatically important. They can still get those stimulus checks in the month of July. We're here, and I want you to get that big money as well for rent, utilities, and SNAP. Get that $10,000, $12,000 if you continue to get. I'm next back with you with Mornings Crypto at 9:30, so join me live on air. Then at noontime at 11 a.m., followed by afternoons at 3, evenings at 5, overnights crypto at 5:30, then evenings crypto at 7, sirloin at 8 o'clock in his news time zone. So subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record. I want you part of this channel and part of this family. Hit that subscribe button. Like this video. Every like helps and helps the video appear higher in the rankings. It also delivers your play. And consider becoming a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, Calcino VIP, so you learn the big money in third stimulus, so you can get these $5,000, $10,000 and be the next Nisi of getting $22,000. Stay informed, stay focused, and stay with LA for more.